需要向大家进行主动通报的信息。下面我愿意回答记者朋友们提出的问题。下面请提问。
So I'd like to take your questions, and now the floor is open.
发言人您好，我是中国国际电视台的记者。我们知道，近期商务部副部长王受文带队前往美国进行新一轮的中美贸易磋商。我想请问一下，在这轮磋商中，双方是否取得了一些进展？是否在一些问题上达成了共识？同时，现在中方是如何看待当前的中美贸易摩擦的？对于未来有没有一些预判？
And how do Chinese side comment on the relation and the negotiations between China and the U.S. and what are the future plans?
关于此次中美双方在华盛顿举行的副部级磋商，双方在磋商中就各自关注的问题进行了建设性的、坦诚的交流。始终认为，中美经贸合作是互惠共赢的。我们希望双方能够相向而行，共同维护中美经贸关系的大局。但美方一意孤行，挑起贸易战，这是中方不愿看到的。只有通过建立在平等、诚信基础上的对话与磋商，才是解决 中美贸易摩擦的正确选择。双方在华盛顿举行的副部级磋商中同意，将就下一步安排保持接触。谢谢。
At the negotiations in Washington, both parties held the candid talks.
发言人您好，第一财经日报记者提问。 上一周，美国 USDR 举行了2000亿美元的征税计划。
Last week, the U.S. set the plan for 200 billion US dollars, and they held the hearing. Many of the Chinese and foreign enterprises were at the hearing, and they were worried about this new round of tariff and what the comment of MOFCOM. Thank you. We noted that at the USTR office, they held the hearing, and there were more than 300 relevant enterprises gave speech. More than 90% of them are against the new round of tariff. This clearly proves that the unilateral action of the U.S. didn't win people's hearts. China hopes both the business field and the consumers also value the industrial cooperation between China and the U.S., and we hope the U.S. side can make the right solution. No matter what pressure will the U.S. lay to China, China will stay committed and determined to proceed its course of reform and opening up. And we will, together with most of the countries, to forge ahead the multilateralism and to promote the economic globalization, trade and investment liberalization, and to build a shared community for mankind. Thank you. From 21st century. There are sayings that the trade war is unfair to China. So what's your comment? Thank you. We've noted these words. After China's accession to WTO, we strictly abide by the international trade laws and rules, while exporting the high-quality products and service. Because of the emerging demand in domestic market, China is speeding up to buy products and services from other countries. Apart from this, The cross-border enterprises, including the companies from the U.S., also set their branches in China, and their sales volume in China also increased greatly. So we can see the trade and economic cooperation between China and the U.S. are win-win cooperation. This will not only benefit the two countries in long term, but also benefit its peoples. We hope the U.S. won't take risk of the benefits of the majority and won't mislead its people. Thank you. Economic Daily. There is report that the Eagle Party of the U.S. holds more hard plans. What is your comment on that? Thank you. We've noted that the so-called pressure and harsh plan led by the U.S. is non-effective to China, and this will not help solve the problem. The unilateralism and protectionism is against the trend. And for the future of the cooperation, we hope both countries can hold candid and pragmatic talks and to safeguard the win-win trade and economic relations. CCTV. And now the products worth of $50 billion tariff now is released. What are the impact and what measures will MOFCOM do to protect this impact? And what's your prediction to the rest months in 2018? Thank you. In the past several months, the U.S. unilaterally provoked the trade war. And there are tendency of escalation of this trade war. China thinks there is no winner in trade war. And the trade and economic cooperation between China and the U.S. needs harmony. We noted that the U.S. started the tariff on some of the imported goods from China, and some of the imported goods' price are increased. Also, some of the cost of the U.S. enterprises have been impacted. This also had influence on China's enterprises. So people are thinking, especially to upgrade and reform so that to transform the challenge into opportunities and win the long-term development of the enterprises. We are convinced, we are confident to sustain the long-term sound development in trade facilitation, given the premise to abide by the laws and regulations of WTO, we will timely release relevant policies and to safeguard the legitimate rights of the enterprises in China, and to hold the China International Expo successfully, and also to meet the demands of domestic enterprises and our consumers. Thank you. My question is about the tariff on automobiles, because since last year we have decreased the tariff on automobiles and the parts. And on the list of the $50 billion tariff, will it be 40% of the total tariff? And with the escalation of the trade friction between China and the US, do you think it will impact on the automobile industry? Thank you. Your question is very professional. In order to enlarge the import and to meet the demands from the consumers, since 1st of July this year, China actively lowered the tariff of the automobiles from 25% to 15%. Simply in July, the imported automobiles volume increased greatly, which makes records. But due to the impact by the trade war provoked by the US side, many of the automobiles are on the list of the tariff. So there are 25% more tariff on the current 15%. So in total, for the automobiles and the parts, the tariff is 40%. So due to this, the US automobiles to China are affected. But I want to reiterate that China's market is always open to the world. We hope the US can join the negotiations with China, but not to release the pressure. Thank you. Xinhua News Agency. Recently, UK and the US and also Australia released the abandoning on ZTE. So will these actions affect China's companies going global? Thank you. Recently, a certain country issued the laws and regulations to investigate and inspect on foreign enterprises more strictly. So China's foreign investment has been affected. China is greatly concerned about this, and we will closely follow up the progress, and we will evaluate the relevant program. We've noted that these strict regulation and inspection on foreign enterprises will also raise the worry in that country. And there may be abuse of the security policy. The foreign investment is the due determination and fruit of China's high-quality development and China's reform and opening up. We think the going global of China's enterprises won't be changed, and to seek for win-win cooperation is still the aspiration of our people. We will continue promoting the development of the world and benefiting the people in the world. And we will continue encouraging and supporting the Chinese enterprises with good credibility and strength to go global and to start their business under the international laws and regulations, and also to promote the liberalization and the facilitation of trade. And we will safeguard the legitimate rights of Chinese enterprises in the invested country and to make the environment sound and stable. From Shanghai Security. Last week, the sixth trade talks between China and Thailand was held in Thailand. And what is your comment on the achievements? Thank you. During the sixth trade and economic talk between China and Thailand, both leaders talked and reached a consensus on the Belt and Road Initiative and to achieve the connection of the the achievements of both China and Thailand and other series of consensus. And there are series of pragmatic fruits. The first is to safeguard the free trade and multilateralism, and to promote the liberalization and facilitation of mutual trade, and to reach $140 billion in the trade volume. Both parties announced to establish the first mutual trade working mechanism under the Belt and Road Initiative. Both parties inked the frozen poultry meat framework between China and Thailand, and the Thai party announced that they will attend the first China International Expo, and both parties will strengthen the industrial and capacity cooperation and to upgrade and to transform together. Also to speed up the infrastructure projection. For example, the railway and China-Thailand economic corridor, and signed MOUs. And also to support Chinese enterprises to develop win-win cooperation. The meeting also determined to establish the digital working team. And the third is to strengthen the travel, tourism, and science and technology cooperation. Both parties will enhance the regulation on tourism and also the security on tourism, and to seek for the opportunity in cooperating in science and technology. And also the signed the aerospace MOUs. And the fourth is to build open economy, to strengthen the regional and local cooperation between China and Thailand, and to conduct a coordinated development. Because there are Pan-Pearl area and the Hong Kong, Macau, and Shenzhen Greater Bay Area, China encourages Thailand to take the advantage of China's eastern and western logistic pathways, and also to establish platforms for agriculture. And both parties will continue its cooperation in FTA and regional cooperation, and to enhance coordination. Both parties negotiated that we will try our best to implement the achievements reached in this year's meeting.
谢谢发言人。每日经济新闻记者提问。我们注意到，尽管中美贸易摩擦不断升级，但今年前7个月，我国利用外资
We noted that with the escalation of the trade friction between China and the U.S., but especially in July, the foreign capital in China actually increased. So what is your comment? Yes, just like you said, in the first several months, the real foreign capital used in China maintains a steady growth. The industrial structure and the regional structure keeps upgrading. This fully proves that China has achieved active growth in the foreign investment. The foreign investors gaining in confidence in China's investment environment, and now China's economy is transforming to high-quality growth. Although there are risks outside, but the national economy still remains a steady growth. China has a relatively completed industrial chain and excellent labor force and solid manufacturing bases. And we also have the hugely potential market. And we are continuing improving the business environment in China. And we are convinced, we are confident that we will make it a more sound environment for the investors. Thank you. Due to time limits, we have time for the final question, please. We noted that there are 287 activities in this year's China International Expo. And can you introduce some highlights of these activities? Thank you. This China International World Expo will take advantage of the enthusiasm of the people and organizations and to offer relevant activities of high quality and to make the booth more attractive and in order to promote the trade. There are 3 highlights. The first one is the extensive participants, like the UN FAO and the ministers from ministry from China, and there are also trade organizations and the municipal and provincial governments from domestic China, and there are also top 500 companies and industrial associations and also research institutes. The second highlight is there are a lot of activities. There are policy briefing and industrial explanation, new technology, new products release. For example, the relevant international organizations will release the annual report of its department and organizations, and there will be commercial talks and regional cooperative talks under the Belt and Road Initiative. And the third highlight is the thematic meetings. Many of the exhibitors will demonstrate their characteristics and also to offer potential cooperative opportunities. And they will also share the new technology and to release new products. For example, the large home appliance companies will hold forums on the technology and also to introduce China's e-commerce and to hold in-depth talks on e-commerce and global industrial chain, a supply chain. These activities are all the highlights of the first China's International Import Expo. Thank you. This concludes today's press briefing.